right, so good morning. It's time to wake up and smell the coffee. Today's wake up experience is being brought to you by Daddy Kate's, downtown Brunswick, Georgia, where they like big cups they cannot lie. It's a little plaque in there, I like it. And I like the other one about the mocha vodka Xanax latte. I call that the teacher special. I think a lot of people would like that teacher special right about now. This little coffee shop that I go, hey Liam, how are you? This little coffee shop that I go to today was Daddy Kate's, and they have a little plaque in there that they have the mocha vodka Xanax latte, and I thought, well, that's a teacher special, right? So anyway, so briefly, as we wake up and smell the coffee, so I was reading back through, the Lazarus, John 11, because I mused and, kind of like, Lord, what are you saying? What are you doing? You wake up with all that in your heart, and I know, I think it's awesome too, Liam. I'm going to be talking to you soon. So anyway, I'm going back through, John 11. I do it in the Passion Version, which has really been I've been familiar with that version, but it really has been speaking more to me. And hey Lisa, I got hung up by the Holy Ghost on this one phrase, because we know the story, right? Lazarus has died, and they're saying, Jesus tells him he's not dead, he's asleep, and it's like, but in the whole passage we're talking about, I'm doing this so that you'll believe. They had a grid for healing, but he wanted to change the landscape of their heart. He wanted to bring them into another reality about who he was, and another demonstration of what he was capable of doing. And so you hear the doubts in the little story there, but there's this one phrase that got me in the Passion. It said, even though he loved Mary and Martha, he stayed another 2 days. And that just caught me. I mean, I always knew this aspect of it, but when it's worded that way, words make a difference. I'm a wordsmith, so words make a difference. Even though, because what it says to me is that I love these guys and I know they're wrecked. How many people are in that place right now where we just, Jesus knows that we're wrecked. He knows that we've had tremendous loss. He knows we've had this profoundly long wait as we wait to step into things that we feel like we're made for. He knows that many of us, the remnant that is standing, he knows we've had a messy trail. He knows we've had a messy journey. We've been through fires. We've been through more fires. We've been through loss and more loss, and disappointment and more disappointment, and layers and layers of this. But even now, he wants to resurrect my heart. And we've talked a little bit this week about how we're coming out of something, and he wants to take even the residue and the smell of smoke from us as we emerge. That we're like Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, like that whole passage where it says that even the smell of smoke was gone. They didn't even smell. They had been in the fire. We've been in that fire, and we've been burned and burned. I mean, through church hurt, you name it. Because I've been listening in our group, with the prophetic solutions, and it's like, it's not ironic. Emily said it so well yesterday. She said, all of the remnant, essentially those who have abandoned themselves to Jesus, we're not building any more religious edifices to the sky. We're done with that. There's nowhere for us to go. There's no going back, right? And then I had that dream, and the Lord just shouted in that dream, stop trying to prop something up that's dead. So we're letting go of dead weight. He's dividing our souls with his word and his spirit, and he's taking all the residue, all the things that hard drive of our heart have picked up, a lot of garbage over the last several years that have come into this hard drive and fragmented it in many ways. So he's gathering that debris, right? He wants us to be able to carry what he has for us. He wants us to be able to walk in the mantle and in a landscape that's radically different. You know, we've talked about this a lot, where he's prepared us not just for a promotion, but for a landscape where everything is different. Nothing is the same. And in the disorientation and everything that we've seen in the last couple of years with the COVID, etc., he's used the grand disorientation to untether us from places in our own heart, from peoples, from things, from locations, from, you know, things that are familiar. All the familiar ways of relating to him. He's like untethered us from everything familiar. Because in that disorientation, the mercy of God comes. And he says, I'm going to peel away everything that has been collected as a residue in your heart. I'm taking out the garbage. Because in this one, and I've said this a lot, there are things that have been for our time stamp for this time. There are things that you and I could not have conceived at any other time in our life, because the landscape of our heart had to be so cultivated that we could actually birth something new, or even birth something further that was in us that we didn't know. You know, that we would be open more than any other time in our life to living a totally unscripted life, to being able to live, move, and have our being. He's untethered us from everything so that he could actually have this crazy, prophetic, intercessory, manifest sons and daughters relationship with us, so that we would carry goods. He's not only pouring new wine, he's preserving, hey Laura, both the wineskin and the wine. In other words, he wants you and me to carry something that's not going to make us burst. He's being so radically intentional about the depth of what he's doing in us. The steel that's in our spine, the flint that's in our forehead, through radical perseverance. I remember years ago, funny little story. We're talking years, like over 25 years ago. And this prophet came to the church, and he was kind of hokey, a little bit weird. You know, he said some stupid things that I thought, okay, that's not really prophetic, but nonetheless. And so when he gets to me, he's like, the Lord says, promotion, 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 promotion. How many promotions is that, he says? 5. And then he mentioned something about perseverance, which that was probably more the key word. And I've made a joke about that word so many times in my life. I thought, oh, wait a minute, this is my promotion. I get it, right? So loss and disappointment. I've been promoted. I mean, I say that tongue in cheek because sometimes we have to take ourselves not so seriously. But I've laughed about that because had I had any idea what the cost would have been in following Jesus and being part of a manifest sons and daughters remnant that was going to take the glory revival, which was, they are it, we are the door, we are the revival, we are those things. If I would have known back then, thank God he didn't show me the picture of the whole thing, right? You know, I don't know what I would have done, because, you know, it's like it has been by grace and mercy alone that he has kept us. And for many of us, our journey has been messy as all get out, right? But he's not concerned with how messy and where we got it right and where we got it wrong. It's like, here's what redeemed time looks like. I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm going to go back to Lazarus. Redeemed time. And he's redeeming time in an accelerated season where the events are stacked at the end thicker than we could imagine. And those are the suddenlies, okay? It's like they're going to be like firecrackers and dominoes, you know, blah, 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 blah. Redeemed time is when you end up being in the place of your destiny, no matter how you got there. He makes it as if you never missed a beat. And no matter what you think about your journey and how off track and how much regret, how much this, how much that, yada, yada, redeemed time and redemption and destiny is Jesus bringing you to the point that you've always meant to be, and you walk in the thing that you were created for, and it erases the map of how you got there. It erases the regret, it erases the loss, it erases everything, so much so that it's so much richer, deeper, thicker, and broader than anything you could imagine. This is a season of great fulfillment, okay? It's a convergence of all things. It's every era of the church converging into this Kairos moment, present continuous, that doesn't stop till the end. It's the wild party till the end. It doesn't matter to me how dark it gets, because the light will only become brighter. We will walk in greater authority. We will walk in greater miracles. We will walk in things that Jesus said that essentially you haven't seen nothing yet. You're going to do greater things, right? So all those things are true. Going back to Lazarus. Even though he loved Mary and Martha, he stayed for 2 more days. Why the wait? Why the wait? Why the wait? Because what he wanted to do was so much greater than what their grid could contain. Their landscape was here, and they could believe in healing. She said, Lord, if you'd have been here tangible, he wouldn't have died. Even though he loved them, he stayed. And when he prayed, he said, Lord, this isn't for me. I know you love me. I get it. I know who I am. But it's for these guys. It's for these guys. It's for these guys, so that they would know. So that they would know that you sent me, and who you are, and what you have the power to do in and through them and me. And I'm getting ready to leave these guys, and so I want them to see what it is and who it is that they carry. I need them to know that there's nothing that is impossible with me. Nothing. I need these guys to have the grid of impossibility and supernatural as their norm. I need them to know that all things are possible, and that everything we do is so far outside of the box, Father, that they know that there's no boxes, there's no limits. They're not limited by their past. They're not limited by their failure. They're not limited by anything. They're not limited because of the sins that have been committed against them. They're not limited because of anything at all. But they will know that. And even though he loved them, and this is the part that's been really personal for people, and I hear it. I've talked this last week about how part of my struggle has been, is rejection. Everything about the pulling away of people, the pulling away from a group that you're involved with, the ways that we are being separated out, and for many of us, it's indicative of the transition. The brook has dried up, and it's time to make a move, okay? And the next move is get the signal back. Okay, thank you, Lord. I was asking for the signal to come back so that I could simply finish. So I think I'll have to stop. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Trying to function, and it's challenging. All right. I love when you got to drive around the whole city to find the signal just right. Okay, so let me finish this before I go in. Even though he loved them, he stayed 2 more days. And so much of the pain that I've been hearing, and all of us, is the pain that has come with the wait. And I've said it myself. I'm miserable most days. Most days are just straight survival for me, like trying to find my way into the sanctuary so that I can understand, even for a moment, that God is still with me, that the purpose and plan he has, like that this isn't going to end in a way that's bad. It's actually the beginning of something that's going to be the best thing that's ever happened. And I know with certainty that my life is about to change drastically. I have no clue, like most of you, of what that looks like or what the next step is. And it's okay, because that's part of what he's forged in us. He's forged this deep okayness that doesn't need to know the why, and that is satisfied with asking the what question. So we're not a victim. Why are you doing this to me? No, we're saying, what are you doing? He's enabled us to learn how to reframe what we're looking at, because the unseen real is so much more real than what we're seeing. So he's taught us how to be third heaven creatures who pull heaven down and step into revelation and live from a place of revelation, and not have to live from some sort of religious exercise that we do because we don't know what else to do. We are all in this very unique place where everything has been pulled away. We've been stripped, we've been burned, the whole thing. And the pain and the weight has been something that has been palpable. Even though he loved them, he stayed 2 days. Here's the truth. He was always going to go. He knew what was going to happen when he got there. But greater than that, he knew what the weight would produce in those who were following him. That the weight was the weight that would introduce them to a glory that was greater than what they had a grid for. It was greater than the landscape that their heart had been prepared for. He was going to expand their landscape in a huge way. He was going to expand their capacity, because this is the day and the hour from this time forward. If we don't live and walk in supernatural life, we don't make it. That's what defines you as a remnant. The remnant are the ones who have been through the fires over and over and over again. They're burned, they're dirty, they're ugly, their hairs are wrecked. Like, look at mine. All of that. And yet they're still standing. And those are the ones, the messiest, dirtiest outcasts with the hardest past, with the most fire. He says, oh, good. Now watch what they carry. I'm going to take the misfit generation, the ones who could never bend into the system, who could never bend into any religious thing, who never bent the knee to Baal, who never bent the knee to the cabal, who never bent the knee. And I'm taking those guys, the ones that the world has rejected over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm going to remove the smell of smoke from them in such a way that they don't even know they got burned. That's how good it's going to be. And I'm going to wait the extra 2 days, just like with Martha and Mary, because the wait is worth it. Because in the wait, I'm going to do something that expands them in a way that they've never experienced. Ever. I'm unhinging them. I'm unhinging their parameters. I'm blowing out all the stops. I'm preparing them for something that they could never imagine. I have to wait. If the thing that I want to give them takes them to a place they've never been, if the thing that I have for them blows open every door, every possibility, if the thing that I have for them prepares them to walk without falling, to go wherever I want them to go, to pick up the new thing that I birthed in their heart that they never conceived, because it was 6 layers deep. But the fire has burned the layers repeatedly, one after another, and now they will carry it, and they won't be squandered, and now they will run with great strength, with great perseverance, because they know that it wasn't just, I'm not just the light that keeps you from stumbling. I am the light and the fire that is inside of you, and it will be unquenchable. It'll be a fire that burns till the end. That's what he was going for. And even though he loved them, I love that, he waited 2 days. And he didn't abandon them. It wasn't like he wasn't there. But he waited so that they could receive and be prepared for the greater work, so that they could carry the mantle, the heavy mantles that I have for them. And they'll be able to carry it, and they won't falter and they won't fall in the days of darkness that are coming. And the light that is inside of them will explode and radiate. The darker it gets, when persecution comes, they will still be standing bright light, fiery lights on the planet, because the persecution, they've already been proven and tried. And I know now, when I mantle them with profound miracle walking, impossibility believing power, that they will be able to contain it, because they've been tried and they've been tried. And I don't care about how messy they've gotten in this. They can carry it, not because they got it right, not because they did it perfect, but because they kept standing and they kept their faces bent into me, and I made them into a fiery arrow that can never get put out, that would pierce the world and bring the billion-soul harvest in. That's what you're being prepared for. So even though he loves us, he's enabled us and given us the gift of the wait. Even though we can't see it and it's painful, it is a gift that he has given us. And it is a testimony of what he's about to do. If he did it with Lazarus, with the people he loved, how much more so with the ones who would carry the greater works? Blessings. Love you guys. I love your feedback. Share it if you think it's helpful. I've been enjoying the dialogue. All right.